Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Easy Peasy Show brought to you by Sportasonic. You can listen to every episode of the Easy Peasy Show on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, YouTube, or anywhere else you usually listen to your podcast on. Once again, thank you for tuning in. Now let's get into the episode. Hello, everyone. Thank you for tuning in to the Easy Peasy Show once again. I am Zach here with my co host Peyton. Today is September 15th. It is a beautiful Friday, and we are here to pick up where we left off on last episode, which we recorded Monday. We skipped an episode Wednesday. Anyways, we didn't have a chance to do our beloved Victory Monday segment. So we're going to alter it a little bit, call it Victory Friday, and get to stepping on that. So, Peyton, give me a winner or two or three, whatever. Start us off for Victory Friday.
Yeah, so I would like to apologize for the other day. Had some technical difficulties, could not could not get back into the podcast, so that's why my co-host Zach was expected to finish up the episode. Um, Hopefully, we don't have any kind of issues like that this time
Yeah,
out.
knock on wood.
Honestly, it was probably good for y'all because I was like, I'm not gonna lie, I was screaming, I was ranting about something, and next thing I know, I finish up and I turn. Like I said, that's all I got though. And then I don't hear anything back, so maybe it was probably a blessing that y'all didn't have to hear that. Um, but yeah, so I'll go. My three winners from last weekend. Uh, University of Texas with their win over Alabama, they are essentially officially back. Um, Sean Strickland and Tua Tagovailoa and the Dolphins. So I'll kind of break those down a little bit. University of Texas obviously been building a lot of talent there over the years. Now they got a big, huge upset win over Bama at Bama. So kind of I wouldn't say a passing of the torch, but a sign of the end times for Bama, um, and a sign of things to come for Texas. Moving on from there, Sean Strickland obviously winning the middleweight title over who some people argue is the middleweight goat. I disagree there, but nevertheless, he's in the conversation. Huge win for Sean Strickland. Really can't be understated. Congratulations to him. He's definitely one of the biggest winners of the weekend. Although Dennis White still hates him, um, that's that's something else entirely though. Moving on from there, my last winner, Tua and the Dolphins. Uh, I said on our AFC preview that I thought the Dolphins were going to be a playoff team. I thought they were going to be a great team. I thought they were going to push the Bills. Um, Possibly they might possibly be better than the Bills, if especially if what we saw from the Bills the other night is repeated throughout the season. But I also argued Zach that Tua is one of the better quarterbacks in the NFL when healthy, and he absolutely proved that to me this past weekend. Um, I'm not ready to say he's the best, obviously, but man, he put up quite the performance. So congratulations to Tua. Congratulations to the Dolphins. They showed that they are for real. Um, Get a really, really good Chargers team and really outdueled their offense. So that's impressive. And then going on to my loser of the weekend, I got to say, I would say Texas A&M as a whole, but really just Jimbo Fisher. Um, yeah, I don't know how Texas A&M could continue to excuse the performance or the product that he puts on the field. Um, they signed the number one recruiting class of all time 2 years ago. It's utterly ridiculous that they're this talented on the defensive and offensive line. They're getting pushed around. Um, they can't field a competent team, man. So it's embarrassing for somebody, especially somebody like Jimbo Fisher, who is supposed to be an offensive mastermind, quarterback whisperer type of guy, and he had play calling duties stripped from him last year. And now their offense is clicking, but their defense sucks. So yeah, Jimbo Fisher is definitely on the hot seat. Granted, he lost to a good Miami team last week, but I think it's more so just at this point it it's just gotten real bad at A&M. I mean, obviously missed a bowl game last year. Um, on pace to have not such a good season this year. So he really needs to get things figured out over there. But yeah, he's my weekend's loser. Biggest loser, I should say. There were some other losers, but definitely my biggest loser.
Here's tonight's biggest loser.
Right.
All right. Well, I appreciate you just ran through them all. One go. I guess I'll do the same. So yeah, some winners I have. My first winner is Trey Lyles, the guy who called out NBA claiming world champions. USA basketball loses like twice in a row. Once to I think Germany, and then again to Canada. Technically, didn't even place in the FIBA championship, so I know he's smiling, he's laughing. So a big winner right there, Trey Lyles. Another winner. Speaking of FIBA basketball, is Dylan Brooks. He absolutely tore up USA. I think he dropped like 40 points on their head. Made them look like clowns. And now I think LeBron James had to step in and say he's building a super team for the Olympics. So good going, Dylan Brooks. You did something you'll never be able to do in the NBA. Quite impressive. Be happy, up until you got to play actual guy on, actual other teams, not coached by Steve Kerr, who's a Steph Curry merchant. Another winner I have is DraftKings because they ran a special on Israel Adesanya to win. His odds were boosted from like -700 to +100, and unfortunately for them, you could only max wager $25. But yeah, I know quite a few, probably 100,000 people bet that, and so yeah, now they're all they're over there swimming in all their cash from Israel Adesanya, and let's see. My last winner I have is USA because of Sean Strickland, baby. Um, he showed up, showed out, got the win over Izzy Adesanya. The USA chant started, and I mean it was such a great thing to see. Now moving on to my losers, I have USA again. Obviously, I kind of already mentioned it. Unfortunately, the one sport that I think we invented and we're actually good at, we didn't even place in the International Cup in the International Series of FIBA. So yeah, pretty embarrassing for USA right there. But thankfully, we have Sean Strickland carrying us. Another loser I have is my fantasy team. I didn't even crack 80 points in a full PPR team league, I should say. We have like first down premiums and big play premiums, and unfortunately, my highest point getter was Patrick Mahomes with 20 points. Um, I had the likes of Tyler Lockett, Zach Charbonnet, T. Higgins, had all of them on my team. Who else did I have? I had some clown. I had another clown. I had another clown starting for me. It don't matter. Everyone on my fantasy team let me down. So yeah, big loser is my fantasy
Was it
team.
Aaron Rodgers,
Oh yes, Aaron Rodgers. Yes, yes. Oh man, that sucked.
Mr. Achilles himself?
Yeah, but I mean that didn't. He wasn't even on my list. Because that episode we were supposed to do this Monday. We hadn't even seen what had happened yet technically, but because usually we record on Sunday night, so I didn't know that Aaron Rodgers was gonna I didn't know that was gonna happen to him. To be fair, so no, I won't blame Aaron Rodgers for that one. I'm about to go back really quick and check if my sleeper app will let me. Um, let me see. T. Higgins, Tyler Lockett, Juju Smith Schuster was another one. Yeah, so they were yep, they were all top contributors to my losing fantasy team. So I have two more losers. One of them being Joe Burrow, or really, I guess I should say the Bengals, because they paid Joe Burrow the most amount of money that anyone in the NFL has ever seen, just for him to go out and throw like 80 yards, and a horrible 80 yards. Granted, I will say yes, the weather had an effect, and everyone knows Joe Burrow is trash week one. Um, so I think the Bengals are still going to be okay. Don't get me wrong, but a pretty horrid showing for Week 1. So yeah, big loser is Bengals slash Joe Burrow, and my last loser, probably the biggest loser of the weekend, is Israel Adesanya's dogs. Um, so he's probably mad, at losing pretty handily to Sean Strickland, and as we all know, or as some of us may know, Israel Adesanya has done some things to his dogs that is considered. I'm not sure if it's illegal or not, but it's definitely frowned upon. And yeah. So, anyways, I'd hate to know, if the dogs could talk, his would be in jail. I think he even tweeted something along those lines. And yeah, I couldn't imagine. That's gotta be like the wife scared that the husband's gonna come home, like drunk and angry. That's probably what the dogs are about to have to undergo. They're definitely getting. They definitely got sexually assaulted when he got home. There's no doubts about that. So yeah, big loser. Israel Adesanya's dogs or dog. I'm not sure how many he has. Hopefully, the government only allowed him to have one, just for their
Well, I think that
safety.
dog died. Just for reference, I'll say
Oh
that.
no. So Izzy definitely got another dog. Dang, dude. Man, he can't live
Yeah,
without him, dude. Oh no. Man, yeah. Big loser, Israel Adesanya's
yeah.
dog.
I'm not sure if you saw like the press conference when he was like, "Don't talk about my dead homie" or whatever. Like he was talking about his dog.
Oh man. Yeah, I don't care.
No, I know. I was
Just
just
no
saying.
man that beats off the cartoons is gonna beat me. And speaking of that, would be
Womp
yeah,
womp.
that's a good segue into Noche UFC, which is I guess the UFC event that's gonna be celebrating Mexico. Uh, I don't think this event is actually being hosted in
It's
Mexico.
not.
It's just in Vegas, but it's going to be, I guess, like the celebration of Mexico. I will say, last time I think they had a fight night in Mexico, it didn't end up well. So I think that's why Dana White's a little hesitant to go back because of I remember watching several years ago at this point. Last time they went to Mexico, how they can get. They're very passionate about sports. That's a good way to put it. Anyways, they threw like a bunch of trash into the octagon as fighters were leaving or something. And so yeah, Dana White said, "Never again are we you know doing that." So yeah. So we got Noche UFC being hosted in T-Mobile Arena in Vegas. Kind of a weird card because I feel like there's going to be some good fights, but most of the fights will be one-sided fights. At least odds makers think that. I think every fight has a chance to be competitive, all except maybe three out of 11 fights. But yeah, this is especially from a betting perspective, a very chalky card. A lot of moderate to big favorites. I think three of the fights are actually close to pick'ems, which is if you're into competitive fights, close your eyes, I guess, because well, at least the good fights will be competitive. Like the top tier, the upper echelon of the fighters on this card will be good. But yeah, this is a championship fight, and we're getting it for free, no pay per view, thanks to UFC, and it's actually like I said, a solid card. I mean, this may be better than last weekend's card, and people had to pay for that. So for what it's worth, good job UFC. I know sometimes Dana White likes to put some of these on Fight Night to help grow the brand. And especially if he thinks that a card won't do well on pay per view, he'll just go ahead and make it free and put it on ESPN, which is obviously what he thinks here. But as a fighting fan, um, I think this is going to be a solid card, top to bottom. So Peyton, if you're ready, we can get into by split decision, get into the thick of it here, and say our winners.
Yeah, no, I'm ready. Admittedly, I didn't do as much research as I would have liked to. I was kind of tied up
Yeah,
this week as a whole, so um,
shocker.
Zach will probably carry me on this with some of the lesser known fighters, but I'm ready.
All right, sounds good. Let me get Tapology open, and we will roll into this. I hate this part of Tapology. I'm a little lost here. Let's go to Fight Center. Let's just type in Noche UFC, Noche. Let's do that. Bam, UFC Fight Night. Aha, here we go. Starting off with the prelims. Bam, bam, bam. One more second. Let me pull this up. And bam. Okay. Starting us off in this fight card, which I think it's going to be coming on normal times, if I'm not mistaken. It's going to be like one of those later night cards, if I think. I don't know. Anyways, I don't know what time it starts. I just know it's in Vegas, so I'm assuming it starts at its normal time. We have Josephine Knutson, a minus 575 favorite. Like I said, a lot of heavy to moderate favorites on this card. Going up against Mark Man. Uh, yeah, the sawed off savage Mark Man. 6-1 in her MMA career. Coming to UFC, debuting, like I said, against Josephine Knutson. Um, yeah, unfortunately, I'll make this short and sweet. I have Knutson via decision. Unfortunately for Man, I think Her ground game, it's she's very susceptible on the ground, especially for someone who trains at Jemiah's gym. You don't want to be terrible at the ground against someone who trains there. And then on top of that, if you're Martic Man, you're not that great of a striker. But for what it's worth, you're somewhat durable from what I've seen. You have one loss, and it came from a brutal head kick on the Contender Series, which that was about a year ago. So I mean, she's fighting. She's been fighting a lot recently. I'm not sure if she's UFC ready though. Like I said, the competition she's fighting hasn't been great, and like I said, against lesser competition, she hasn't looked great. And now you're trying to go up against Josephine Knudsen, who is, I think, legit UFC caliber. Um, she's very good at winning decisions, winning minutes. Like an all around good fighter. Not exactly a finisher. Like I said, she's more of a minute winner than anything. So yeah, and like I said, Martic Man is a pretty tough girl. So I don't think she's gonna be able to get a finish on Martic Man, but I think she's gonna win this fight pretty dominantly. Sticks to a game plan. She's gonna have higher volume and more powerful shots. And like I said, she gets this fight to the ground. I mean, Martic Man is just gonna sit there like a turtle on her back. So yeah, give me Knutson via decision. You want me to just keep moving on, Peyton, or I don't know if you have any thoughts.
I mean, I'll give my picks and my thoughts, my brief thoughts. Yeah, I pretty much agree with everything you said. I think the odds are pretty swollen in her favor for a reason. Yeah, give me Knutson by decision.
All right, moving on to our first male MMA fight in the lightweight division. We have Charlie the Cannibal Campbell, a minus 440 favorite, going up against Alex Reyes, the Executioner, a plus 340 dog. Like I said, pretty spread out odds here. And oh, by the way, these odds are from DraftKings, but they are from Wednesday. So if money's coming in on one fighter or another, obviously the odds are going to have moved. Um, but yeah, anyways, I have Charlie Campbell winning via first round knockout. Um, I think last time we saw him technically in the UFC was on the Contender Series. He went up against Chris Duncan, and that was it was a banger of a fight for as long as it lasted. It didn't last long. Yeah, he looked great against Duncan. He dropped him a few times, and like it looked like he should have gotten Duncan out of there. But for as tough as Duncan was, he came out and delivered a right cross and was able to knock Campbell, out stone cold on the ground. Delivered a couple of follow up shots that weren't necessary. But yeah, and
Super necessary.
yeah, but then Campbell goes back, fights Josh Streaker, a decent fighter himself, and knocks him out. That was just a couple months ago. So now I guess like Dana liked what he saw. And so he's inviting Charlie Campbell to have his UFC debut against Alex Reyes, who is Uh, it's so weird because it's rare we see a fighter take a long layoff, come back, and be good, especially at an older age. Alex Reyes is 36 years old. In a couple weeks, he's going to be 37. Charlie Campbell, 28 years old, just turned 28. Like I said, a very powerful striker. He's got decent technique, good combos. He has room to work on there. Alex Reyes, I'll give you my read on him from what I've seen. Um, he's got great cardio and good grappling from the last fights I've seen. But to go back to my point, I was going to get at. So the last fight he fought was Mike Perry. That's a name you haven't heard in the UFC in a while. And yeah, so he fought Mike Perry 6 years ago. That was the last time he fought. Was 6 years ago. He was 30 years old, and like I said, he got knocked out by Mike Perry. So you take a 6 year long layoff and you come back to the UFC and fight a young contender in Charlie Campbell, who has the power of Mike Perry, has probably better technique than Mike Perry. Mike Perry's just kind of a wild man in there. um, yeah, I kind of had to look Alex Reyes up because I was like, why are you taking a 6 year layoff? 'Cause, usually you hear of like 1 or 2 year layoffs and like younger people too. 30 years old isn't like the end of the world to have a layoff and train and stuff, but you had a 6 year layoff and you're 30 years old. So what went wrong or what's going on? Apparently, I say apparently, there's just rumors out there that he's just had injury after injury after injury. So, yeah, if you're having that long of a layoff because of injuries, there's no way anyone can bet you. I think the odds kind of reflect that. No one's seen you fight in 6 years. And the last time we saw you fight, you got knocked out cold by Mike Perry. So yeah, give me Charlie Campbell, and I'm gonna take Charlie Campbell via first round knockout. I mean, Alex Reyes is decently durable. He's got better cardio than anything, a good grappling. But like I said, I don't know. I'm assuming you're coming off of injuries. I'd like to see how you look at weigh-ins, but dude, I mean, no, no, you fell off the face of the earth 6 years ago. Wow, welcome back to the UFC. Somehow, like I think they just had to dust off the roster book or something and just like threw a dart at a name and they pulled you. And yeah, so I think unfortunately for him, he's getting thrown to Charlie Campbell. Should be a decently easy fight for Charlie Campbell. It could be close if Alex Reyes decides to grapple. Does he? No, I don't think so. So yeah, give me Campbell via first round knockout. I don't think this fight's going to be particularly close. Out with the old, in with the new.
Yep, I agree. I'm like you. 6 year layoff really concerns me. Why is he taking a 6 year layoff? Like you said, it's got to be due to injury. I don't think any fighter would take a layoff for anything other than that. So, yep, give me Campbell.
And moving on to another women's MMA fight in the flyweight division, we have Tracy
Mm,
Cortez going up against Jazz Vicious. All name right there about Jazz Vicious. This fight is close. It's a pick 'em. Cortez minus 118, Jazz Vicious minus 102. So yeah, from what it looks like, a little bit more money has been coming in on Cortez, and I see why. I have Cortez via decision. Both these fighters are wrestlers, so I don't really particularly see this fight staying on the feet. So I think regardless, it goes to decision, and it really depends. Really depends. I guess pick your poison, who you want to win. But yeah, this is Noche UFC. Give me the fighter with the she's not fighting out of Mexico at least. Fighting out of Arizona, which is close enough compared to this Jessie Vicious, who's fighting out of Canada. So yeah, if this goes to decision, and we have crooked judges now in the UFC, so yeah, I think this is going to be close. Like I said, wrestler versus wrestler. I think Cortez has a slight edge on the feet because Jasmine has been showing her past few fights that she's getting outlanded. She's getting outlanded badly by opponents who have lesser striking ability than Cortez. Um, she, for what it's worth, Jasmine can get takedowns and she can make fights competitive on the ground, but she's not exactly great on the ground. Like I said, she's going up against Cortez, who I think is good on the ground, especially on the top. From what I've seen, anytime Cortez gets a takedown and gets on top, she's not going anywhere from the top. Um, a lot better on the top than she is the bottom. So like I said, both these girls have flaws in their game, and like I said, really, it's going to be a decently boring fight. It's going to come down to the judges. So give me the fighter with the Mexican last name and Cortez to win. I got Tracy Cortez for your decision.
Yep, wholeheartedly agree with everything you said. Especially the fact that she's a little bit closer to Mexico. I think that makes a huge difference, especially in today's UFC. Um, yep, give me Cortez via decision.
All right, moving on to a flyweight division fight. Um, I think this fight finishes. We have Edgar Chavez a minus 258 favorite. Like I said, we're getting back into the chalkier odds here. Going up against Daniel Lacerda, Miyoho. Sorry, plus 210 odds, a moderate underdog here. In this fight, going up against Edgar Chavez, who I'm a decent fan of Chavez. Been in the UFC a little bit now. We saw him in the contender series about a year ago. Lost a unanimous decision, Clayton Carpenter. But then he gets invited back to the UFC and also loses to Tatsuo Taira via decision again. He fought about a couple months ago, and from what I've seen, he's a very very durable fella. Um, he's not really getting finished, if I can remember correctly. Um, he has very good technical striking, very good power in his punches. I think he's a pretty dangerous guy on the ground. I think his nickname Pitbull for a reason. Like I said, he's just a short guy who's going to cause you a lot of problems. Um, yeah, I think he has excellent cardio too. Like I said, most flyweights do. It's rare to see a flyweight who has bad cardio, which is a good segue into Daniel Lacerda, who doesn't have good cardio, and he also isn't durable. Unfortunately, pretty important things if you want to be an MMA fighter. But for what it's worth, this dude, and a little tad bit of information here, maybe to bridge some gaps. In his last 5 fights, he is 1-4. He has lost all 4 of his UFC fights. Um, yeah, he's had 4 fights in the span of 2 years, and he's lost all 4 of them. And yes, he's gotten finished in all 4 of them. 11-5 record, but like I said, hasn't looked good in the UFC. And like I said, that's thanks to his cardio and the fact that he isn't all that durable. But boy, his fights are exciting. He's one of those fighters who, who's going to give you 5 minutes of pure entertainment in the first round. Um, and like I said, he's going to be very entertaining. But like I said, you're going to be against Gutierrez, who is very durable and has excellent cardio. And I think he probably has better technical striking than you. And Lacerda, I mean, he has better striking than Lacerda. And like so, I mean, give me the guy who's more durable and has more cardio in Edgar Chairez. Like I said, I think this fight's going to be very entertaining. But if Lacerda doesn't finish this in the first few minutes, and I think Chairez is going to piece him apart and kind of do essentially whatever he wants. Like I said, he's going to look. This fight's going to look close in the first round, but then I think Chairez is going to start pulling away. A flyweight having no cardio is a pretty bad thing. So yeah, I have Charas via second round sub. I envision like a club and sub kind of thing. I think he's going to be able to knock him down on the ground and then eventually work his way into a submission.
Yep. Like I said, again, I agree with pretty much everything you said. I also have Chires via decision.
Nice. All right, moving on to what should be another exciting fight. Um, bigger odd spread here, pretty chalky. 2 guys who we've mentioned here on the short life of our podcast, but it shows you how recently they fought. Roman Kopylov and Josh Frim. Kopylov a minus 345 favorite, pretty moderate right there. A borderline heavy, and Josh Frim plus 275. At least last time I checked. So yeah, we've covered both these guys, and I think me and Peyton are both pretty high on Roman Kopylov. Like I said, he just fought a couple months ago, I believe, on the Poirier and Gaethje card, and he had a vicious head kick knockout against
Mm.
Ribeiro. And I think we predicted a knockout, not like that though. So yeah, Kopylov. To be honest, I mean, I just copied my notes from the last time I watched him because I mean, obviously, in a couple months, not much is going to change. But for what it's worth, he's been fighting in how do you say Dagestan. So man, he doesn't have the best ground game, but like I said, he's training over there. He's definitely improving.
That's terrifying.
Yeah, I mean, like if that's the one thing you struggle in and you're training in Dagestan to work on it, you're eventually going to become unstoppable. And like I said, I think Kopylov is eventually going to catch his prime here pretty quickly. Like I said, especially going against Josh Frim, who I'll touch on in a minute. I'll finish my notes on Kopylov. Like I said, I just copied these from the last time I covered them. He has a very good sense of when to go in for the finish. Like I said, head kick knockout a couple months ago kind of shows that he picks out his spots very well. He's very powerful. He's finished very tough guys. He has very high output volume. His technique is exceptional, and like I said, he himself is very durable. Even though it seems like he's getting rocked or taking his fair share of punches, he just keeps moving forward. And if you hit one on him, he's going to throw 2 back. So he's probably going to land them. His technique is, I wouldn't say flawless, but it's it's pretty good. I eventually see this guy getting in the rankings in the middleweight division.
I
Um,
think he is ranked, unless you mean just top 10, but he is officially number 14 in
oh,
the rankings.
nice. Last thing I saw say he was like 39 worldwide. Which means they're not ranked in the UFC yet. But nice, good for him. That's awesome.
Let me double check on
Well, no,
that
you're
because I
probably
think
right
on the
because
UFC
I'm
website
finding out
it has 14.
Tapology is like very weird with rankings.
Yeah, it can be. Let me see.
So, I mean, for what's worth, it has Sean Strickland number 1 and Izzy number 2. So, I mean, maybe it's updated. Granted, it has Whitaker at 3 and Duplessis at 4. So, I don't know if
Maybe I'm crazy. Could have sworn I saw 14 next to his name the other day.
yeah, I mean, you may be thinking of someone else, but yeah, at least on my thing it says he's 39 and his opponent Josh Frim is 65. Pretty big gap right there, and
Yeah.
in rankings, and I think there's a reason why. So Josh Frim, obviously his last fight against Jamie Pickett, we were pretty high on him, mainly because we were pretty low on Jamie Pickett. Jamie Pickett's not a guy who you have in your pocket as your resume win. Yeah, you're Josh Frim. Just a little over a year ago, you lost to Trayshawn Gore. I think what would you lose via submission? Yep. Um, but I mean, like I said, I mean, you win against Jamie Pickett. Good. Everyone expected you to. But dude, I mean, you looked terrible against Jamie Pickett. Let's be honest. You look slow. You look sloppy. And it's like everything that like I thought he could get going, he didn't seem to. Like I said, I mean, he deserved to win because he's going against Jamie Pickett, but still, I mean, he looked awful against Jamie Pickett. You do that against Roman Kopylov, good luck. You don't stand a chance,
He's
I
gonna
don't think.
knock
And
the lights out.
yeah, and I think Kopylov's original opponent, I forgot who it was, forgive me, but Josh Frim is kind of stepping in on short notice here, and he's taking a pretty, I'd say a pretty big step up in competition. I have pretty decent, but I'm gonna say pretty big. So yeah, give me Kopylov via second round knockout. I think he's just gonna. I think it's going to be a decently entertaining fight, and I think Frem's going to probably going to get a couple punches in. But if he can't get anything going against Kopylov, Kopylov is just going to sit there and do what he wants. It's going to be heavy bag training for him with just a live human. So yeah, give me Kopylov via second round decision. Um, you know, I think Josh Frim is going to have his opportunities, but like I said, it's just after watching his last fight, my my confidence in him being able to get something going against Kompylov is very low, which is why I kind of agree with these odds. Kind of, I wouldn't feel comfortable laying minus 345 on Kopylov, but it's kind of, at the same time it's kind of hard not to because like I say, Kopylov is kind of like a tank. He's very powerful, very durable, and but I mean, yeah, I mean, if Frame gets his fight down to the ground, I mean, Kopylov could struggle there. But I don't know. I don't see it happening. I don't. Like I said, it's hard for me not to look at have recency bias in their last fights. Seeing Kopylov get a vicious head kick knockout and Frem getting a sloppy decision win against one of the worst fighters in the middleweight division. So yeah, all in all, Kopylov second round knockout. Book it.
Yeah, Kopylov is absolutely terrifying. Friend looked terrible in his last outing, but Kopylov is a different beast, man. I think he needs to clean some stuff up. I think defensively he gets tagged a little bit. Like you said, he's a tough dude, but I think he does get hit a little bit too much for my liking. Um, Obviously the wrestling aspect, but he's taking care of that by training in Dagestan. But I mean, if you can clean stuff up, I mean, you could legitimately be looking at a new title contender. Uh, Maybe not right now, but in a few years from now, you could be looking at maybe the next face of that division in terms of holding the belt. I'm not saying that happens because I mean, God knows there's so many things that could happen in his career, other people's careers. He might not develop like a lot of people think he will, but I mean, dude's got all the power in the world. He like you said, he's a great striker. He takes out his shots well. I mean, dude is terrifying. So I don't think Firm stands a chance against him really.
Yeah, well said. Yeah. So, anyways, moving on to our thing. This may be the future prelim. I believe so. Yeah. Another women's MMA fight. Lupita Godinez, Lupi minus 440 favorite, pretty big, going up against Elise Reed. We have classic battle Mexico versus United States here. Oh, sorry, Elise Reed's a plus 340 dog. And speaking of Reed, yeah, I'm not too impressed with her. I understand why these odds are pretty spread out. On the feet, pretty solid. Very good striking, good power too for women's MMA. This is in the strawweight division, by the way, 115. But man, on the ground, terrible. Probably one of the worst ground fighters in the UFC. Bad ground game, bad takedown defense. Like as soon as she's taken down, she might as well just lay there. I mean, she might as well take a nap. It don't matter. She'll be more productive getting some shut eye than trying to get up. Um, because yeah, you're going up against Lupe Godinez, who is a great wrestler, and just a decent striker. I will say on the feet, I give a slight edge to Reed, but here's the main problem with this fight. We all know Lupita Godinez. I mean, she's a great wrestler, probably the best wrestler, one of the best wrestlers. Sorry, in the strawweight division. She just doesn't wrestle. Um, and like I said, she's just one of those fighters who is amazing in one thing, and I don't know if it's pride or what it is, ego. but just won't wrestle. She has one takedown in the last 3 fights, and it's not because she can't. It's just for lack of trying. I mean, a year ago she loses to Angela Hill, which I mean, Angela Hill, is kind of been around for a while. Don't get me wrong, but that's not a pretty loss, especially a decision loss against Angela Hill. So I mean, I don't know. I think the talent discrepancy is why these odds are so far apart. But man, this fight, the only she look at minus 2,000 in there if she actually wrestles, but she needs to wrestle. If she doesn't, she could possibly let Elise Reed win a round, maybe two. Like I said, Elise Reed's power and her strikes are going to be enough to where it looks bad to the judges. But yeah, I don't know why I'm doing this, but I'm gonna put a little faith in Loopy here. I'm gonna say that I mean, I think she may get pieced up in the first round and like get frustrated with it and say this isn't what I need to be doing, and then start going for takedowns and winning the minutes. And then I think, like I said, Reed has terrible ground game, gives up her back far too often. So I'm going to have Godinez winning via third round submission. I think she does see to it that she gets this fight to the ground and puts in work down there. And I think Reed is not good enough on the ground to last. So, yep, give me Godinez via third round submission.
Yep, interesting you say that. I do have Godinez winning, but I don't have her finishing the fight. I do have it going to decision. So, um, yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, neither of these girls are finishers, unfortunately, but I'm relying on too much here, I guess, to happen. But taking my shot for a submission there. Moving on to the main card, I believe. Yep, in the featherweight division, we have Fernando Padilla versus Kyle Nelson. One of the most Mexican names going up against one of the most Canadian names ever. Moderate favorite in Fernando Padilla. Minus 250, Kyle Nelson plus 205. I got Padilla winning via third round knockout. I think on the ground, this dude's good. Um, this dude, actually, I will say, I think he's a good grappler. He's even better on the ground. His cardio holds up, especially in a division 145 where cardio is king. Um, and I think he has good cardio for a guy who loves to just throw down. Um, his volume, his striking volume is great, and his cardio usually holds up. Kyle Nelson, on the other hand, going to have a slight physique disadvantage here, coming in 2 inches shorter and has like a significantly shorter reach by like 5 inches, which is crazy. Um, yeah, so Nelson's a very kill or be killed fighter is the way to explain it. Every time he's lost, it's been in the first round. So he goes all out in first rounds, and like I said, that's just how some people fight. And yes, I mean, like he goes all out in first rounds, and it usually doesn't end well for him. At least that's how he used to fight. Nah, he kind of came back after a little layoff and has been a little strange. He's a little timid now, little scared to be doing that. So I'm not really sure what he does this fight, especially against someone who's going to be pushing him. And sometimes when there's someone who's like all up in your face throwing, it's hard not to throw back, even if it leaves yourself open. Um, Yeah, like I said, because this Kyle Nelson guy, his cardio has been getting a little bit better since he's not like going all out in the first rounds. But this dude has god awful cardio because he goes all out in first rounds. I think regardless, I think Padilla is essentially going to kind of win the cardio game here. He's going to land more volume against Nelson, and like I said, Nelson's going to, like I said, eventually gas out one way or another, and that's why I got Padilla winning via third round knockout.
Yeah, so I actually have Padilla versus via submission. Um, yeah, I pretty much agree with what you said. Aside from Padilla via me saying Padilla versus submission.
Yeah. Understood. Moving on to another main card fight, we have Daniel Zellhuber minus 285 going up against Christos Galgos plus 230 dog. Yeah, so a guy in Zellhuber, the Golden Boy, who comes in, wins his contender series via decision, unanimous decision. And he comes against Trey Ogden, loses via unanimous decision. He looked terrible against Trey Ogden, and that fight was
Oh God.
atrocious. But his next fight he comes up against Lando Venata, He looks great again. So what's up with that? I'm not really sure. Zell Huber, a guy who has great power behind his strikes, and I don't really see him being taken down. Excuse me. Yagos in his own right is a good wrestler and a good grappler. He's a decent striker. I don't think he's gonna have a striking advantage on the feet. So I think he's probably gonna be looking for takedowns. And like I say, good luck against Zell Huber. Yeah, I've noticed in Yaga's fights though, as the fight goes on, he just gets more and more sloppy. Like I said, his gas tank fails on him pretty early because like he's a very high volume guy, and so I think this is one of those fights where one guy's going to look really good very early, and the other guy's going to look a lot better later because the other guy gave everything he had pretty early. And unfortunately for the guy that gives everything he has pretty early and can't get the other guy out, it usually never ends well for them. So yeah, I think if Zell Huber can, the key here is survival. If he can survive the first round, because I think Giagos has the ability to get him out of there. I say he's a decent striker for what it's worth, and a good wrestler and grappler.
Striker.
Yeah, and I could combine a lot of abilities right there. But so yeah, like I said, Giagos is going to look very competitive pretty early, and the fight's going to be looking a lot closer than what the odds portray. But I think Zell Huber is going to be able to survive here. I'm not sure if he's ever been finished. Um, so I think he's pretty durable. So yeah, I think after the first round, it's not gonna be pretty for Giagos. So yeah, give me Zell Huber to win via second round submission.
Yeah, I have Zell Huber via knockout. So again, like I said, most most of the stuff I'm agreeing with you. I think we do see the same things.
Yeah, most definitely. Like I said, it's not hard to watch tape and realize what fighters are good at and what fighters aren't good at, and just look at the history of the UFC and see how things are gonna go. Anyways, moving on to what should get the Mexican crowd pretty hyped up with their young gun Raul Rosas Jr. coming in as a minus 750 favorite. At least, like I said, I last checked the odds yesterday or Wednesday, I should say. Um, Going up against Terrence Mitchell at plus 525 dog. Heavy favorite going up against a heavy underdog. Yeah, not much to say about this. The talent discrepancy is pretty big between these two fighters. I know people are low on Rosas Jr. now after a pretty I guess shocking loss against Christian Rodriguez. Like I said, I think just the hype train got derailed there. Do I think he lost skill? No. Dude's 19 years old, not even, and he's just getting better every fight. It looks like. Um, it's a guy who I think is going to be a problem for the bantamweight division for years to come. Going up against a guy in Terrence Mitchell, who will not be a problem for the bantamweight division for years to come. Um, yeah, like I said, there's levels to this, and even a guy who's like 15 years younger than you, he's just like levels above you in the ground game. And like I said, Rosas isn't exactly a good striker, but I don't think this fight stays on the feet at all. Um, especially if I'm hoping Raul Rosas Jr. is young, listens to his coaches. Coaches are going to say, "Look, we get to this fight to the ground, and you just get to work." As we know, Rosas Jr. has excellent ground game, probably some of the best in the division at 19 years old, and he has good takedowns. Going up against a guy who hasn't fought good competition, and whenever he does face good competition, he looks terrible, and he gets finished. It's awful, I've noticed this about Mitchell too. Anytime he's on the ground, um, it's sketchy. I wouldn't say it's terrible, but it's sketchy. Kind of, he puts himself in terrible situations, and you don't want to do that against Raul Rosas Jr. This almost feels like a fight UFC made to get this guy back on track, and Rosas Jr. As I said, a biggest odd difference on the card for a reason. Like I said, there's levels to this. Yeah, give me the younger fighter in Rosas Jr. to get back on track here. UFC is gifting him a pretty easy fight. I got Rosas Jr. winning via second round submission.
Yeah. So I disagree with you. um, not necessarily saying Rosas is a bad fighter or Terrence Mitchell is a good fighter, but I think pure prediction wise, I think Mitchell's going to catch him. I think he's going to finish Rosas. I just think Rosas, man, maybe it's just recency bias, like you were talking about earlier, and making me think something. But dude, he looked horrible his last time out. So I'm just not real confident in him.
Yeah,
But well, I guess
that's
we'll
fair.
see. I guess we'll see. But um, I actually have a. I feel like I have a pretty decent amount of upsets. Well, I mean, the last few fights are kind of upsets, I guess. Foreshadowing, but
Yeah, that's fair. For what it's worth, I personally didn't think Rosas looked like terrible. I think, like I said, just the hype train was real in the sky, and it just got derailed. Um, I mean, Rosas was only like a -200 favorite going into that fight. So, like I said, I don't know why people expected. I expected him to win for what it's worth, but I don't know why people thought it was going to be a runaway fight. Going up against a tough guy in Christian Rodriguez. But yeah, like I said, maybe he took a step up in competition too early. And like I said, UFC is gonna give him this fighter to get back on track. And unfortunately, Terrence Mitchell isn't just not that guy. He doesn't quite belong in the UFC. And but yeah, I guess for I, I don't know. I don't even. I'm not sure. I feel like I could just completely disagree with you. But I mean, we can move on.
well, let me say this. This might not make sense. I don't think Mitchell is necessarily a better fighter. I think he just gets it done. I think it's just a massive upset. I mean, how many people were predicting Sean Strickland to beat Israel Adesanya last week?
All right, I guess I can respect it. Just calling your shot. I guess I can see it.
Yeah, basically. I'm not saying that Rosas is not as good of a fighter by any stretch of the imagination. Uh, just calling my shot, like you
All
said.
right, all right. So you sound decently confident in calling the upset. So I mean, it's interesting to me as all. But
You got to believe it to for it to
fair
happen, dude.
enough. Okay, I can respect that. You got to get behind what you believe in. Um, anyway, moving on to what I think has potential to be probably fight of the night. It can be even fight of the year, maybe depends. Excuse me, how these two guys come out and look. We have Kevin Holland, a familiar name, going up against another familiar name, Jack Della Maddalena. JDM -148 favorite going up against Kevin Holland +125 dog. Yeah, odds are pretty much a pick 'em. We have a guy who's been in the UFC a while, a guy who's not. Well, I guess he has been in the UFC. Uh, uh, Definitely not a while in the terms of Kevin Holland a while. Um, so yeah, Holland, welterweight division, 6'3", 81-inch reach. As we know, this dude always looks like a behemoth. Like I said, the dude is just a physical specimen for his division at 170. It's kind of crazy to think that 170 pounds can fit on a 6'3" frame, but he does it, and he usually never struggles making weight either, which is like it's pretty impressive. Anyways, as we know, Kevin Holland. I say as we know. Sorry, I'm going to stop assuming. Kevin Holland, good power, decent striking, not the best. You want to know why? He's mainly I say he's black belt in BJJ. His defensive grappling on he don't look like a black belt, but boy, his offensive grappling makes up for it. So law of averages, black belt, baby. Um, you know, his like I said, his striking is decent. He has good power, but I mean, I rarely say this about fighters unless I truly mean it. Kevin Holland is one of those guys where I truly mean it. He may be one of the stupidest guys in the UFC. Black belt BJJ doesn't use it. He'd rather stay in there, stand and bang. Why are you doing that? I don't know. I have no
He
idea.
wants fans, dude. He
But
wants fans.
I mean, get it. He has fans. He's trailblazer for a reason. Like I said, the dude's 30 years old. I mean, he's still young in his UFC career. But like I said, for some reason, I mean, he could win more of the fights he loses if he just chose to grapple. But he just doesn't. He stood in there and banged with the best of them. Uh, yeah, sometimes he wins, sometimes he doesn't. Like I said, we saw this guy fight, a little over a month ago. Uh, One via submission against Michael Chiesa. I think I'm not sure. I'm not sure what your prediction was in that fight, Peyton. I know mine was pretty confident for Kevin Holland, and like I said, he went out there and kind of showed it. Um,
Yep, I believe I was pretty confident as well.
and So yeah, Kevin Holland, good all around fighter. Terrible IQ though. He's going up against a 27-year-old Jack Della Maddalena, who's been making a name for himself. He's kind of got a little bit of a hype train going. He's 15-2. He's 5-0 in his last five. Yeah, dude's a great boxer. One of the best in the welterweight division. His striking is incredible and his volume is incredible. Like I said, the boxer through and through. But for what it's worth, he's looked great against terrible competition. Um, about a month ago, he wins via split decision against Basil Havas. Who is that guy exactly? I think your best win's probably against Randy Brown. Can't believe I'm saying best win and Randy Brown in the same sentence, but I guess that's just I don't know if that's more in Dana White trying to make him look good. Like I said, this could be one of those things where it's a huge step up in competition that Della Madalina's not ready for. But for what it's worth, I think, like I said, he's going up against someone who um, is going to fight JDM style, which is exactly what JDM needs. He doesn't need anyone trying to take him down and win minutes on the ground with them because he knows he's not going to win the fight there. He's going to win the fight on the feet, and that's where this fight's going to stay. Unless for some reason Kevin Holland has a come to Jesus moment and decides, hey, maybe I should use what I have a black belt in. It's like he seems to only rely on that when he has to. And even when he has to, he's like, do I really? So it's so hard to pick a guy. I mean, who does that? Like I said, you can't back someone who has some of the, like I said, not the greatest IQ in the UFC. I just don't get it. This guy could win if he wants to, but he often chooses not to. So yeah, I think this fight stays on the feet, and I think JDM's probably going to win the minutes. He's going to, like I said, he's a boxer through and through. He's going to look great on the feet, but for what it's worth, I think Holland has the more powerful strikes, and I do think he's going to rock JDM. And I can't really comfortably pick a winner here, but I got Holland winning via third round submission. I think he's going to rock JDM at some point. Like I said, we haven't seen JDM fight the best competition. Is a pretty big step up in Kevin Holland, who has fought great competition. Um, every single name he's fought, at least in the past 2 years or so, 5 years ago, 5 years or so, has been recognizable names. So yeah, give me the guy who has much more experience. Like I said, I think he's a better fighter. Not all around against Jack Della Maddalena. I think obviously JDM has a striking advantage as far as volume's concerned. But yeah, give me the more experienced fighter, the one who has more passive victory, and Kevin Holland to win via club and sub in the third round.
Yeah, I mean, the last time we saw Kevin Holland, dude looked magnificent. Now, he is coming down from middleweight to welterweight, and I mean, dude is absolutely enormous at welterweight. So, I think that's going to play a huge role in it. I think he's going to get it done against, uh, oh boy, and I think I think he's actually gonna use his brain and wrestle. I think he's gonna start. Maybe this is just what I want. Like
Mhm.
I'm hoping, but I think he's gonna start using his brain and actually like taking things a little bit more serious. Not that he doesn't take it seriously, but um, he could take it a little bit more seriously. And I think he's gonna start.
Yeah,
I think
well,
he gets the win.
yeah, we'll see. Like I said, I feel like and like I know I didn't mention this about Kevin Hahn. I just didn't think to, but for what it's worth, he's never been knocked out. Um, I know you may be looking at topology or like looking at stats and like, oh, he's been knocked out before. Well, no, not really. He I believe was fighting Stephen Thompson and broke his hand and just had to like kind of call it and say, look, I gotta this or like this just isn't gonna work kind of thing. Had his hand broken, just really didn't stand a chance. Um, and like I said, he's next level durable. And so for a guy in JDM who I haven't really witnessed like true power, I've more or less just witnessed technique and stuff. Um, maybe he does stun Holland. I don't know. Like I said, I think this fight's close for a reason. I begrudgingly have to pick a winner here. So yeah, going into our
Are you
main
talking
event, we
about?
have Alexa Grasso about plus 140 dog going up against Valentina Shevchenko minus 166 favorite. Let's keep in mind here really quick before I preface this. Shevchenko, I believe, was like a minus 750 favorite the last time they fought. Yes, they have fought before, just recently, 6 months ago, I believe. And yeah, Grasso, like I said, was a huge underdog and was able to get the submission win against Shevchenko. Pretty impressive. Like I say, going up a huge underdog. I think she was able to get sneak it out in the fourth round. Just kind of caught Shevchenko making a mistake, really. And so yeah, Alexa Grasso going to be doing her first title defense. Excuse me, up against the former champion in Shevchenko. Um, you know, unfortunately, I don't understand why these odds are so close. I really don't get it because, like I said, I preface this by saying there was a huge odds discrepancy last time they fought. Sure, the underdog won. I get it, but what has changed in 6 months? What could you have possibly done to make the odds flip that much in the past 6 months? Um, I will say when this fight first opened up, I think the odds were like it was like plus 200 either way. I'm sorry, like plus like 250 for Grasso and like minus like 300 for Shevchenko. Um, so I guess like a lot of money's been coming in on Grasso. And like I said, I don't get it. I said you watched the last fight, or I don't know if you remember it or not, but Shevchenko, I think Grasso won the first round, and Shevchenko won the next 4 rounds. Up until Shevchenko, she was piecing up Grasso, had her in a bind, tried doing like a spinning kick or something, and Grasso took advantage of her while she was like turned around, I believe, and was able to take her down and get a choke and really tight choke. I will say, um, I have been impressed by the improvement in the grappling realm from Grasso. So for what it's worth, like I said, she had Shevchenko in a couple of binds at times, and like I said, she was eventually able to get her out of there via submission. But at the same time, she did it. She more or less won because she was able to capitalize off of a mistake about on the Shevchenko side, which like I said, I mean, you're trained to do that. So good for you. I think she's a good striker, Grasso. I mean, but her accuracy is definitely not the best. Um, so like I said, I'm not calling the last fight a fluke. She won fair and square, and but man, I don't. Like I said, I think there's levels to this. I think Shevchenko is just on another level. I mean, I think Grasso has closed the gap for sure, but not enough to where these odds are like, oh man, it's a pick 'em. I don't think it's that. I don't think he said in 6 months, what could she have possibly done? I don't think that much. So yeah, like I said, it's hard not to look at the previous fight as a predecessor for this one. Like I said, Shevchenko made a mistake. It happens. I don't think she makes the same mistake. And I think she's taking this pretty serious, losing her belt like that. So yeah, give me Shevchenko to win via decision. I don't think she can finish Grasso. Like I saw, I think we all kind of saw the fight, the way the fight was trending last time they fought. I think it's more or less going to turn out to be the same.
Yeah, and no at the same time. Um, Look, Grasso, yes, like you said, she won the first round. But if you go back, one could definitely argue that she also won the third. I'm serious, man. Or it was either the third or the fourth. I can't remember which one. But a lot of people argue that it was 2-2 heading into the probably heading into the fifth round. Um, but I mean, Grasso held her own in that fight. Obviously, Shevchenko made a mistake, and Grasso benefited from that mistake. But let's also remember Shevchenko the last few times out has not looked like Shevchenko that we have grown to know. Um, so I think it's kind of the run's ending for Shevchenko. I think the gap has definitely been closed. Now, I never thought the gap was quite as big as like some of Amanda Nunes's opponents and Amanda Nunes, but yeah, um, I think I think Grasso is definitely good enough to get it done. Will she? I don't know. I'll predict her to, but um, yeah, I don't. I'm not super confident in that.
Yeah, I get it. Like I said, she's going up against Shevchenko, and like I said, Shevchenko
Yeah,
is light years
Shevchenko.
ahead of her as far as talent's concerned. Um,
Yeah, absolutely, but she's not exactly getting younger, and she hasn't. I mean, I don't know, dude. She just hasn't looked amazing the last few times out.
Sure, but I mean, I think we all and I wasn't gonna bring her name into it, but you did. But we all saw what Nunez did as soon as she lost the belt. It wasn't a game anymore. It wasn't a game anymore after she lost it. Um, and she comes back out in style and wins. Like I said, I don't know. People are always saying like Shevchenko hasn't been looking that great lately. She's on the verge of retirement. I mean, I don't think so. Like I said, I think she kind of runs the division. And I don't know. I could be dead wrong here. Like I said, maybe I'm misreading the odds, but like I said, it's hard. I don't get it. Looking at the last fight, I mean, she was easily up 3-1. It's hard to look at someone who doesn't have. it's hard to look at someone who has as much ground control as she did, or just control time in general as she did, and say they weren't winning. So yeah, I don't know. Like, and like I said, I think, and maybe Shevchenko was a step slow, or has been a step slow in her past couple fights, but I don't know. Like I said, I think maybe she, takes it up a notch now that she's lost her belt, and it's, like I said, not a game anymore. We saw Nunes do it. Uh, I'm not saying Shevchenko is on Nunes level, but um, I
Hey, I
think
mean, if we see a resurgence from Shevchenko, it'd be. I mean, I'd really love to see it. Because like I said, the last few times she's been out there, she hadn't looked amazing. Um, so I'm really hoping to see a difference in her this time out.
all right. Well, then that
And there's no doubt that she's arguably the goat of that division, if not for sure the goat. Um, so I don't say that lightly when I
mhm.
say I'm predicting Grasso to win. It's kind of another one of the call my shot type of things.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, for what it's worth, I think the odds should be a little bit further. Like I said, I think they should be kind of around where they opened. I think that's a little fair. The fact that it's like a pick 'em now, it's kind of crazy. If you're telling me it's 50-50 odds either of these fighters wins, I'm gonna take the 50 on the side of Shevchenko every single time. Um, like I said, I mean, I know I said Grasso's good in her own right. I said she was on a tear for what it's worth. But it was also like I said, the whole championship fight between her and Shevchenko was also one of those fights where like, okay, Shevchenko's running out of opponents. Who do we put up? Like UFC's freaking out and so we'll put up a freaking like 10th ranked competitor. Like I said, it was one of those fights. Like I said, kind of reminding of Adesanya and Strickland. Um, so I mean, yeah, I don't know, but like I said, Grasso's champion now. Shevchenko's the challenger. Like I said, I think Shevchenko is going to go back to her old ways and get it done pretty handily. I think it's like a 49-46 type of decision, if not 50-45.
Yeah, I'd love to see it. So um, we'll definitely see.
Oh yeah,
But we'll
yeah,
move on to
absolutely.
college football if you'd like.
Yeah, let's do it.
So for college football this week, honestly, not any kind of real marquee games. Obviously, game day is going to Colorado and Colorado State. That kind of shows you.
Hmm.
I mean, look, Colorado State's not very good. Colorado is a very fun story and all, but Colorado State sucks.
Hmm.
So it's one of those deals.
Hmm.
Like they're just going to wherever they think is going to get the most views. Obviously, there's no huge games, so I have a few games circled. One of them being my team, LSU, playing Mississippi State. Um, they'll probably be without Omar Spates, their starting middle linebacker. Maybe Mason Smith, their defensive tackle, that's supposed to be all world.
God, he got
Um,
caught signing things again.
no, he's still recovering from an ankle injury.
Oh, boo freaking who! This dude expects to play in the NFL.
Yeah, so could be without two big players there.
Every team I
Um,
support, there's always injuries. Every freaking team.
so this this game is very interesting to me because now last year Mississippi State threw the ball a lot. Um, this year not so much. So I'm going to be interested to see how our run defense is. I think our run defense is fine. I think it plays into our strengths that they run the ball a lot, but I'm interested to see if they try to pass it more because Will Rogers is definitely one of the better quarterbacks in the SEC. Um, if they throw the ball, I want to see if our secondary is improved. If not, we're in a lot of trouble. I think this game can tell you a lot about this year for LSU. Are they legit? Are they pretenders? Um, yeah, we'll see. So I have that game circled. I'm definitely going to watch it, not just because it's my
Yeah.
team, but it's because I'm genuinely intrigued in the matchup.
Yeah, for sure.
Um,
Can I ask you a question? Like I said, I know with the Mike Leach passing, that's who it was, right, for Mississippi State. Um,
Correct.
I know he was obviously his scheme, if you will, offensively at least was the air raid. I know he's very popular
Right.
for that. As Mississippi State, I haven't watched their games this year. And I
Will
could
Rogers is almost dead last in the SEC in attempts.
okay. I was about to say I was expecting Mississippi State to not take a complete step back from passing. Well, it kind of looks like they have, I guess. But
Yeah, they run the ball.
yeah, I was
So
expecting them
they're
to, yes, utilize a little bit more balanced offense this year. But that's what I was going to ask. I didn't know if they're still an air raid team because I mean I'm looking at their advanced statistics here, and it's like um, for what it's worth, they have quite literally a middle of the pack offense, and it's like split not evenly. The passing's still a little bit better than the running game, but it's not by a whole lot. They're both mediocre, I will say. So but go ahead. What were you gonna say?
Yeah, so their new head coach Arnett, he's definitely more of a defensive minded guy. He's gonna run. He's gonna want to out physical you, so he's gonna want to run the ball and then just beat you up on defense. So it's a totally different team than it was last year. Like you said, they have a pretty middle of the pack offense.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I'm really curious to see about LSU's defense. I mean, can we hold up against the middle of the pack offense, or are we going to be trash like we were against Grambling? Um, so I'm interested to see that one just for the matchup. I think LSU's offense, honestly, I think their offense can score with anybody. Um, I mean, I don't think they're super high octane, but I think they'll keep you in the game in any kind of game. So I'm not too worried about the offensive side of things, but in terms of defense, I'm very worried.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. I'll say this one thing before we move on, but for what it's worth, like I said, me, I use the term advanced statistics a lot. Looking at the sheet I have in front of me, updated rankings. How many teams are there in the FBS? Like 130 something,
131, I believe.
131. Yeah, we'll just round to 130 for this sake. LSU's defense ranks at 121. Um, in advanced ratings. 123 passing defense and 99th in rushing defense. But flip side, obviously offense, like you said, it's not the most high octane offense for what it's worth. They got the 15th fastest offensive pace in the in the NCAA. They have 14th ranked yards per play. They also have a top 25 yards per pass, which I know that may be kind of surprising hearing that for Daniels. But for what it's worth, they do have the opportunities to be explosive or high octane, I guess, if you will. And I think they're like maybe a couple steps away from that. Um, will this offense ever get there? I don't know. Like you said, and they have the ability to, just not sure if they will. And like you said, obviously the main concern here is the defense. It's which is kind of surprising, but I mean people in and out of the lineup all the time, and get some. Still trying to figure things out on that end. So yeah, it should be a very interesting game. I know the spread is like 10 or something like that.
Yeah, in
I
favor of LSU, which is
Yeah, no,
shocking
I
to
kind of
me.
expected it to be a little closer. Um, you know, I mean, like I said, the thing in front of me said has a projected spread in favor of LSU of point oh 0.04. So I mean, literally has this game at a pick 'em. And I think maybe that's a little generous for Mississippi State. I still think, as far as talent's concerned, LSU has a definite edge. But
Oh, without a doubt, there.
production has obviously been shockingly low, I guess, so far. So I don't know. We'll see. It should, like you said, it's just very interesting because this could be a tale of many stories, and it's going to be at 11 a.m. too at Mississippi State, if I'm not mistaken. So
Correct.
yeah, it's going to be a very interesting game all around. But we can move on to your next
Yeah.
game you have circled if you'd like.
Well, I'll say one more thing about that game. I'm expecting Brian Kelly to make a lot of changes. He's already committed to playing some more freshman guys, and he had a he had a pretty good freshman class come in. So, um, yeah, I'm excited to see some freshmen.
Yeah, yeah,
He's kind of throwing out some more trust in them. So,
yeah.
I look for them to definitely make improvements. I don't. I mean, I think Coach Kelly is one of the better coaches in college football. Obviously, one of the most winningest coaches of all time. So, I don't. I mean, let's not discredit the man. He knows what he's
Hmm.
doing. So I'm expecting him to make some changes and get things right sooner rather than later. So maybe they come in, maybe they look awesome Saturday. I don't think they will, but we'll see. We'll see.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Like I said, it's just going to be multiple stories can play out here. Obviously, there's being LSU fans, there's a certain story we'd like to see play out, and that's drastic improvements from the defense and the offense to more or less, to make I guess a couple steps forward. Like I said, the offense is, I mean, it's been decently impressive for what it's worth. Um, they have their bright spots and they have their low spots, but For what it's worth, I have little concerns for the offense and major concerns for the defense. But like you said, Brian Kelly, hard to argue. Like I said, being a head coach, you probably get frustrated at the production you've seen from some certain players on your team. So yeah, why not give freshmen a shot? Especially considering you probably want them on your team. Like you said, if they're one of the better classes in the NCAA, you probably want to keep them. So why
Yeah,
not give them some PT?
I want to say it was the fifth ranked class, and he really addressed needs on LSU's team. I really liked the class. I followed the class pretty closely. One of my now
Stalker.
I've always followed recruiting, but it was one of the classes that I followed most closely, and it felt like I think every single one of them were signed for a pretty good while. On signing day, we only had one flip, so it seems like a pretty tight knit group. Um, I think they work well together, so I really do think they'll get it figured out. I think most of their problems are that they've built a secondary from the transfer portal for a second year in a row. Um, you know how I feel about that. I don't think that's sustainable. I think every once in a while you'll have some good years, but
Colorado.
uh, you have to build that off of recruiting at the end of the day. So
Don't tell that to Prom, Coach Prom.
or Florida State,
Yeah, I'm taking my luggage with
which
me, and
look,
it's
I mean,
Louis.
like that's what I'm saying. Like Florida State's team is built off the transfer portal, and yeah, I mean, they're great this year, but when's the last time they were good?
Yeah, that's fair.
So I mean, they were an okay team last year,
Hmm.
but obviously they've taken a pretty large leap, and you can credit to some of the players they've brought in, but um, yeah, I mean, not only were the transfer portal, but a couple of transfer portal guys that they have been there for a few years now. So even their quarterback Jordan Travis came over from Louisville from the transfer portal. So
Hmm.
we'll see. I think I'm interested to see what Florida State looks like next year. Uh, and LSU, man, we desperately need to be recruiting high school corners and safeties, more so corners and safety. But we'll move on to the next game. My next intriguing game is South Carolina versus Georgia. So at the beginning of the year in our SEC breakdown, I projected South Carolina to upset Georgia. I'm absolutely taking that back now. They look like crap. Um,
Yeah.
however, this is still an intriguing game. Georgia doesn't look as dominant as they have in the years past, but I still think they dominate South Carolina. So
Hmm.
just like I said, kind of a slow week in football, but
Hmm.
one of the more intriguing games, I guess you can say.
Hmm. Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And like I said, I really don't blame you for, I guess, calling your shot. Obviously, it seemed ridiculous at the time, and it seems ridiculous now to say South Carolina could beat Georgia. But I mean, let's remember the peak South Carolina, how they were looking at the end of last season. I mean, they were putting people in a bond left and right. But yeah, uh, they haven't. I mean, obviously, I think they beat Furman. I assume I didn't keep up with that game.
Yeah, they beat Furman.
Okay. Hey, that's something Virginia couldn't do in the March Madness. So good for South Carolina. Um, but yeah, like I said, looking at their stats now, obviously Georgia on pace to three-peat. Yeah, you can hear the excitement in my voice. Um, South
Yeah,
Carolina,
you and everybody else's.
anybody but Bama, I guess. But anyways, frustrates me to see a team so dominant. Anyways, um, yeah, South Carolina, god awful passing defense, mediocre rushing defense. South Carolina can't run the ball to save their life, but for what it's worth, they can pass. I mean, Spencer Rattler. I mean, I think even though uh, I'm still in the boat if he's goofy looking, so how can he be good? But I think he's still. I mean, I still think he's a top tier quarterback. He was at Oklahoma right before he moved to South Carolina.
Correct.
Yeah, I mean, obviously disappointment there. But that reminds me of another transfer. Maybe we should talk about. But yeah, anyways, I agree with you. I think, like I said, yeah, I guess like games this week are few and far between as far as like competitive and interesting at the same time. But yeah, first SEC game for both these teams, I believe, and yeah, I think Georgia needs to come out and show that they're they're still the team that you need to be, and yeah, I think I think to do that, you get. I mean, you probably have to beat South Carolina by at least like 24. I'd say. I don't know what the spread is, but maybe by 30 or something. Really show people you mean business. I mean, if you're South Carolina, just I don't know, hold on for dear life. I don't know, your defense is awful. Yeah, I don't even know what to say. We can stop talking about it. Good luck, South Carolina.
Yeah, bro, that's about all you could say. Look,
I tried.
better get.
I tried to spin it. I was trying my best there to. I'm usually good at winging things, but as I was looking at it, I was like, okay, it ain't gonna happen, Chief. It
Yeah, that
ain't
ain't gonna
gonna
happen.
happen.
So, yeah, we'll move on to the next game because that ain't happening, like you said. Um, my next game is Tennessee versus Florida. Another one of those really intriguing games. The spread is Tennessee by 7.5, which is I think is a little bit low. Um, I think peak Tennessee. Now they haven't played to their potential. Let me say that, but I do think peak Tennessee is much, much, much better than Florida. I'm not a big fan of Florida. Not a believer in them like some people are. Hey, maybe they'll prove me wrong. Maybe they'll beat Tennessee, but I don't see it. I don't see this game being close. Not let me say when I say close, I mean it's at least two scores.
Yeah, yeah. I guess I'm with you on that. Yeah. I mean, Tennessee. I think yes, it's still they're still Tennessee. I mean, they're not quite Tennessee of last year. I don't think at least. But for what it's worth, they've had a very impressive defense so far this year. I know obviously the competition you're playing isn't the best in the world, but it's still up to you to look good against those teams, and I think they have. And like you said, I'm pretty down on Florida too. Hopefully, I said that in our conference predictions. I can't remember if I said that or not.
You did,
Okay, good. Um,
which I'm glad.
yeah. Like I said, I didn't see this team doing all that great, especially losing Anthony Richardson. I mean, how can you? Yeah, I mean, and like I said, on top of that, for what it's worth, I think the talent. Yeah, I don't know. But the talent just isn't living up to expectations, which I guess is a new thing for Florida now. With who remind me who the head coach is? Napier.
First of all, it's not a new thing. That's been a thing.
I mean,
But
fair enough,
yes,
fair
Billy
enough.
Napier.
But I mean, I guess it's really a thing now where the talent just can never live up to expectations. Um, which I mean, Florida didn't even have. I don't even think they had that high of expectations. But yeah, for a team that struggles in the offensive department, going up against a Tennessee defense has been excellent. Like I said, I always say I think offense always trumps defense, but at the end of the day, I mean, you have to have a good offense to trump a good defense, and I don't think Florida has that great of an offense. You know, granted, tough competition. Your first game you play Utah. I don't know how much you lost by against Utah, but I remember it wasn't exactly the prettiest game. Like you said, you think the spread for this game is too low. I kind of agree. I don't think it should be that much bigger, though. I mean, I think like a double-digit spread is realistic. I'd say like I think Tennessee can win by 10 plus. Anything more than that, though, I'm a little uncomfortable saying. But like I said, it's also a matter of I mean, first SEC game, you're going into Gainesville to play. So I mean, like I said, they all that's taken into account. So yeah, maybe that's why the spread isn't double digits. Maybe it's got bumped down to a touchdown just because Tennessee's having to play Florida at home. Um, and like maybe since Florida beat up on McNeese, maybe recency bias is taking effect on the spread. I don't know, but I agree with you. I would definitely be betting, or I mean, I'm gonna look into it a little bit more, but that Tennessee minus 7.5 is very, very juicy, very good looking to me at least.
Yeah, I think I did bet it actually. Matter of fact, so I'm looking forward to it. We'll see. Like I said, I'm not too high on Florida, but we'll move on to the next game. Um, Wyoming and Texas. Now, I don't think Wyoming's going to win that game. Don't get me wrong. I
As
don't
soon
think
as you start off
Wyoming's
with
going to win that
Wyoming, I was
game.
like, oh, but then you said Texas. Like,
Um,
okay,
but I want to see what Texas looks like post Bama week. So, um, it'll be interesting to see what they look like. Wyoming did beat a pretty good Texas Tech team, so
yeah.
they're no slouch. They also went toe to toe with a good. No. I'm sorry. Texas Tech, who they beat, went toe to toe with a very good Oregon team. So,
Hmm.
um, yeah, I want to see what Texas looks like the week after Bama.
Yeah, absolutely. It should be interesting to see. Because we were saying earlier, Texas is back, and like you said, it's kind of a passing of the torch, or at least really, someone taking it away from Alabama. I think it's still kind of up in there who like really grabs it and becomes that marquee team. As I mean, signs kind of point towards a couple of teams. I think one of them being Texas, but
Georgia.
yeah, I was about to say one of them being Texas, the other one obviously Georgia. But yeah, you know, like I said, for what it's worth, Wyoming isn't the worst team out there. Um, are they the best though? Not sure. Uh, I mean, I am sure they're not. Um, Texas, on the other hand, though, like I said, pretty dominant. Like I said, it should be interesting to see if they're a little bit hungover. Yes, after the Alabama win, Tuscaloosa, but yeah, I am also interested to see how they fare. The week after. I think they should be able to perform up to standards. For what it's worth, I personally lean on the side of blowout via Texas domination. But
So interesting you said that. I did bet on the spread. I bet on Wyoming to cover.
what is the spread?
It's in the 20s. I mean, it's a good bit. Let me look what I got it for.
Is this game home or away
I'm sure it's home,
for?
Texas.
Oh, hmm.
Let me see. Pulling it up right now. Wyoming plus 28.5.
Oh, so four touchdowns. No, more than four touchdowns and extra points. Yeah, that's a pretty freaking big spread.
For a Wyoming team who's a very physical team, that they're not bad. So,
Yeah, yeah. I don't know.
but
Hmm. I still lean on the side of
who knows?
Texas, but we'll see.
Yeah. So moving on to my sicko game of the week, though. My sicko game of the week is going to be Northern Illinois versus Nebraska. I think. Oh God. Both teams are really
Banger.
really bad offensively. Yeah. Um. So yeah, I think it's going to be a sick game to watch. With that being said, I will definitely be tuning in.
Yeah, like I said, in a week where like there's not really super like competitive games or entertaining games out there, where it's like, oh man, this can be taking up my whole day. Like, yeah, it's kind of like, um, definitely be one. I think it'll be one where like I'm flipping to during commercials of other games. If that makes sense,
Oh,
I think that's gonna
100%.
be my backup game. I'm not sure what time actually it's being played. Depending on the time it's played, maybe it's the main one to watch.
Yeah. Uh, but yeah, like I said, just not a very great week of college football, but it's college football nonetheless. So
Yeah, absolutely. Still, exciting times. Still, yeah, yeah, yeah.
yeah. um, but I don't know. It's good to have college football back finally. Um, Even if there aren't a lot of great games, there's some games to watch out there. There's another sick game too, like Vanderbilt and UNLV. Obviously, two of the not so good teams in college football. Um, I think Vanderbilt is a perennial bottom feeder. I don't think that'll ever change really. So, um, yeah, I look for that to be a pretty sick game as well. Um, and like I said a few episodes ago, if you don't know what I mean by sick, I'm just not good football being played.
Yeah.
Um, so we'll see. That's another one to keep your eye on if you're into that kind of thing.
Oh yeah, most definitely, most definitely. There we go. I got life back to my mouse. Had to scrounge for a battery. Back in business, baby. Anyways, yeah. Any other college games you wanted to cover, or you think you're happy?
Nope. I think I'm happy with that.
Yeah, that's a kind of a weird week. We could spin the wheel of randomness and see what team we land on, but I said I don't know if we can. We could just skip it this week. Like I said, I think we've covered enough. If you're fine with that.
Yeah, I'm good with, with
All right.
without it. I can do without it.
All right. Say less. You want to cover like maybe two or three? I was about to say UFC games, NFL games. Whew.
Yeah, I'm good to cover a few.
All right. I think we have a couple of interesting ones.
I think the most intriguing one is Ravens and Bengals.
Yeah, yeah, I kind of agree. I think, in my opinion, as a Ravens fan, you know, I truthfully, I don't think this game's gonna be pretty. Um, as we know what Joe Burrow has the ability to do, really to any secondary, but one in Baltimore where it's been beaten, battered, bruised, chewed up, spit out, ran over by multiple cars, hog-tied, put in front of a train. Joe Burrow coming off of a terrible performance after being the highest paid quarterback in the league. Yeah, truthfully, I don't think this game's going to be pretty for the Ravens. It's really going to be on the offense to keep it competitive. I think maybe the reason the spread is a little bit close is because people are kind of remembering the game last year where, obviously the Ravens under a terrorist offensive coordinator were able to keep it competitive, and truthfully, they lost because it was a QB dive over the goal line that went awry. And that's at the end of the day, I think the Ravens only lost by a touchdown, if even. And so, like I said, maybe people are remembering that game, but truthfully, like I said, being a Ravens fan, I am scared of the Bengals, especially playing them at home, coming off of a terrible loss. Because I remember the games of Marlon Humphrey getting torched by Jamar Chase, and being the clown he is, he's not going to be there, which is unfortunate because he's even though I think he's a shell of his former self, he's still our best cornerback, and we're going to have F tier cornerbacks out there running around. People who were like on the practice squad last year for other teams are going to be out there trying to guard Jamar Chase, T Higgins, Tyler Boyd. So yeah, have fun with that Ravens secondary. Um, surely Joe Burrow is not going to be mad that he did terrible last game. Surely he's not going to be looking for a redemption game of 450 yards and 4 touchdowns. Um, you know, surely he won't repeat history and just make you a laughing stock. So yeah, I think like I said, the spread's 3.5 for that game. You have to go Bengals there. Like I said, I think I'm not sure if I've seen the script or what, but like I said, I don't even see other than the playoff game. I don't see why the spread is so close. And so like I said, maybe it's because of a revived Baltimore offense, but even that looked terrible against the Texans. So
Yeah. So I don't know if you saw this, but let me preface this by saying this: Joe Burrow might be one of the corniest players in the NFL. Hello,
I'm listening.
can you hear me?
Yep, I'm listening.
Hello.
Hey,
Oh, sorry. It kind of my screen kind of freaked out for a
oh
second
yeah,
there.
you're good. You're good.
Okay.
But yeah, I can
All
hear
right.
you.
Um. So he's kind of one of the corniest players in the league, in the sense of like he does some corny things, but they work. So like people love it. So I don't know if you saw this, but he did get a haircut. And he looked locked in practice. So Joe Burrow, maybe that might be a sign of things to come.
Oh yeah, like absolutely, absolutely. Like I said, being a Ravens fan, I know I'm supposed to support my own team, but I see, like I said, I don't see how you can comfortably bet on the Ravens spread after, and like and maybe it's recency bias too of how bad the Bengals looked last week in unfavorable weather um, away. Like I said, and we know Joe Burrow doesn't do well in the first week, but yeah, like I said, I think
Or against the Browns.
yeah, that too. So like I said, it was a perfect storm for him. But yeah, I think you're playing two AFC North opponents in a row. You don't lose two in a row if you're the Bengals, two AFC North opponents. So yeah, I think they beat the Ravens like 31-24, 31-21, something like that. I think it's and even that's me being generous for the Ravens. I think this game isn't going to be too pretty.
I think you're overthinking. I think the Ravens are a very good football team. So, but we'll move on to another game that I think is pretty interesting, and that's the Chiefs and the Jaguars.
Nice. I was hoping you'd go that way.
Yes. So I'm is Kelsey available? Do you know?
Yeah, he should. I believe so because I believe he was like a game time decision for last game, which was as we know last Thursday. So I have to assume. Oh yeah, he was a full participant in practice today. I believe I read or yesterday.
Oh yeah, that's right. That's right. I did see that. Yeah, so having Kelsey back is going to be huge. Having Chris Jones back is going to be absolutely enormous. Um, but let's remember the Jaguars did take the Chiefs to the brink there in the AFC divisional game. Yes, it was the divisional game. I'm sorry, I was trying to remember. Um, they took them to the brink there. Uh, Trevor Lawrence has arrived as a player. Um, I think it'll be a sneaky good game.
Yeah, due due to me, I love my analytics and my stats. So due to those two things, I'm gonna have to say Kansas City kind of wins in dominant fashion here, even playing away at Jacksonville, a good Jacksonville team. Don't get me wrong. Calvin Ridley has came out and kind of he silenced the naysayers. Um, he's back to his former glory off of his suspensions. And like I said, you took.
Which, by the way, that's the stupidest suspension.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess
It is what it is,
NFL
but
flexing their power. That's all it is. As it's kind of a joke of a league, but it is what it is. So yeah, like I said, I mean, Jacksonville obviously solid offense. They just re-signed Evan Ingram, good for them. Solid tight end. Um, ETN, great running back, and like I said, beyond Calvin Ridley, Zay Jones, who am I missing? Christian Kirk is that one. You have a
yes,
really solid offense. Like I said, your offensive line's pretty decent too. Um, and you know me at this point. Usually, if I talk pretty high about someone or something, I usually have a pretty big counter. But like you said, Chris Jones coming back, a Kansas City defense who likes, I mean, not the best on paper, but I mean, for what it's worth,
they keep them in
yeah,
games. I mean, it's what
exactly.
they need.
Yeah. And like I said, I mean, Detroit, I think Detroit's a good team this year. So, I mean, I'm not shocked that they beat
Oh
Kansas
yeah,
City without Travis Kelsey. Um, because me and you have discussed multiple times. I think both me and you are in agreement that the Kansas City is a trio of certain people, and one person of that trio was missing, and we kind of saw how bad the Chiefs could be um, without Travis Kelsey, and now he's coming back. And I saw something. This is my main thing too. This is kind of what I'm going off of. Patrick Mahomes is like 14-3 after a loss, so
mm,
something crazy, and it's a point differential of like a little bit above 12 in his wins coming off of a loss. So yeah, if you're having to face Patrick Mahomes coming off of a loss,
good luck.
hold on to your hats. It's typically not pretty. He usually has something to prove, and now Travis Kelsey has something to prove. Andy Reid has something to prove. Chris Jones has something to prove. Um,
You don't give them guys
yeah,
something
no,
to
yeah,
prove.
you're going up against a Kansas City team who's going to be fired up, coming off of the first game of the NFL season loss, former Super Bowl champs. Um, I'll say Super Bowl champs, I should say.
I'll say,
Um,
say defending.
yeah,
That would probably be
yes,
the
yeah, defending Super Bowl champs. Yeah, off of a game that wasn't pretty. It really, I guess, at the end of the day, it's going to be up to the wide receivers also to kind of help take the load off of Travis Kelsey. But I mean, we know what Patrick Mahomes and
that
Travis
doesn't
Kelsey
always
can do.
matter
Yeah,
anyway.
exactly. That's gonna say. I mean, it's Travis Kelsey and Patrick Mahomes, man. It's probably the most unstoppable duo in the NFL. Um,
You know what they're gonna do.
yeah, and like I said,
They're just gonna do it anyway.
yeah, and I mean, how many points did they give up to the Colts, the Jaguars? I mean, how many points did they give up to the Colts
Yeah,
last week? It
they
wasn't.
didn't look
Yeah,
great.
it wasn't a
They
pretty
made
game.
Anthony
It was
Richardson
a
look like a
freaking
good
yeah.
quarterback.
No, it was a back and forth fight between the two Colts and Jaguars. Uh, and I wouldn't call the Colts the worst team in the league, but I would put them definitely easily, confidently in the bottom
Bottom
third
three.
of the league. Yeah, even like I'd say bottom five. Maybe I'm a little impressed what they did against Jacksonville. Anthony Richardson kind of impressed me, but like I said, for what it's worth, I think
Mm,
the
mhm.
story is too big for Kansas City to make this game close. I think yeah, maybe close for like the first half, or even if Jacksonville's winning, Kansas City is going to do the thing, that meme where the guy sits up in the chair to really focus in on the game because he's like down 10 and 2K or something.
Yes.
I think that's kind of one of these situations for Kansas City. So I think it's going to be probably a double digit victory for Kansas City.
Yeah,
Um,
with all everything I said, I do agree with that. It's kind of why one of the reasons I picked this game. Kansas City's gonna return. They're gonna bounce back from a loss,
yeah,
especially with Kelsey and Jones back now. Because a lot of people get caught up in the trio of Mahomes, Reed, and Kelsey, but hey, Chris Jones is a massive part of that defense. And I mean, the Lions were just taking what they could get on the ground, and that's really how they won that game because the Kansas City Chiefs couldn't stop the run.
Right.
With Chris Jones back, yeah, good luck trying to run the ball like that.
Yeah, absolutely. Is there we can cover one more game if you're all right with that. I'm not sure
Yeah.
if you have a game in mind. If not, I can pick one.
No, I've picked every game, so I'll let you
All
pick
right,
one.
I'm kind of between two here, but I'll just pick one just so we can wrap this up. It's between Sunday night prime time. I mean, actually, the Monday night. It is a doubleheader on Monday
Dion?
night, by the way. No,
Dion's playing?
no, been waiting all day for a Sunday night kind of prime time. Not excuse me, Colorado. Um, which we didn't really touch on that. Maybe we should have. Either way, that ship sailed. I'll go with New York at Dallas. New York, that is the Jets. As we know, we saw
Mm.
what the Giants and Cowboys game turned out to be on Sunday night. It was a shellacking by the
Yeah,
Cowboys.
they ain't gonna forget 9-10 either now.
Nope, not at all. And so yeah, it should be interesting to see how the Jets. Obviously, we know Aaron Rodgers out for the season with a torn Achilles after 4 plays with the Jets. But for what it's worth, the Jets still won off of a walk-off punt return for a touchdown. So, like I said, for what it's worth, I'm still confident in the Jets defense, but obviously not too confident in the Zach Wilson led offense. Um, I mean, I can't even say that he looked good filling in for Aaron Rodgers. He looked like Zach Wilson, unfortunately. Um,
Sadly, so did Josh Allen.
yeah, yeah, and but is a 40 point outing from the Cowboys against the Giants, is that sustainable? I don't think so. You're going up against a Jets defense who's going to, I think they're going to push you to a brink. They'll push the Jets defense will push any team, any offense to the brink. You really have to have like a mastermind of a coach to help you there. And I think McCarthy, one of the top coaches in the league. I know that there's obviously a stigma around him that he never gets the job done. But I mean, I guess for what it's worth, I still think he's a good coach. Um, yeah, I don't know what the spread is for this game, but I do. And you're playing this like in what's the Cowboy Stadium called? AT&T.
AT&T.
Yeah, I think they win. Um, I think the Cowboys are able to win against the Jets. Like I said, unfortunately, I don't see this Jets offense really getting going. I think the Jets are definitely going to swing more to the run game again now that Rodgers is out. They obviously plan on having a more balanced offense with Rodgers in, but now that he's out, I mean, what do? You have Dalvin Cook and Brees Hall in the backfield, so you go to them. But you're going up against the Dallas defense, the Dallas D line with Micah Parsons. Yeah, good freaking luck with the guy who and Brees Hall who's still trying to recover from his injury, and Dalvin Cook who's a little bit past his prime. Like I said, I mean, good luck, Jets. Is all I have to say. I think Dallas wins this one by I want to say like 7 by a touchdown. Um, you know, I think for what it's worth, it'll still be a good game, but I don't think the Jets have what it takes to get it done. If they had Aaron Rodgers, I'd say it's a close game, and I could see it going either way. But I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah, no, I completely agree. I think, uh, look, obviously Aaron Rodgers lasted 75 seconds, just slightly longer than I do. Um, um, so just a heartbreaking injury for them. Um, yeah, and that's kind of what I said a while back is when Aaron Rodgers gets hurt, man, he gets hurt. Like
hmm
it's never a simple injury for him. So just horrible luck for Aaron Rodgers. Wish the best for him. Don't think we'll see him again playing, at least at a high level. I think that's I mean that's a pretty gruesome injury for a guy that old. So I hate that for him. But yeah, in terms of the Jets, Zach Wilson, they're doubling down that this is his team. I don't think that's the right move. I think you have to go try to make a trade for somebody. I get you don't want to give up anything good, and you have no leverage in the trade right now, but you got to go try to get somebody.
Yeah, absolutely. And I mean, there's plenty of veteran free agents out there too who can come in and help. But yeah, I think the Jets are going to try and hold tight and see if they can just I think they're riding the confidence of the Bills win a little bit too much here. But yeah, we'll see.
Yeah, you don't get that performance from Josh Allen very often.
No.
So, um, and that's another thing. I wonder how he's gonna respond.
Yeah, I think he should be fine. I said he's gonna be playing at home against the Raiders. So yeah,
Mm.
that should be an easy one for Josh Allen. But anything else? I'm sorry you want to cover before we wrap up.
Nope, I think I'm good.
All right. Well, thank you all for tuning in as always. We
Yep,
greatly
thank y'all for
appreciate it.
watching.
Enjoy yourself some football this weekend. Enjoy yourself a free pay per view card from the UFC, and we'll catch you next time. We'll catch you on Monday's episode. So once again, thanks for tuning in. Peace.